everybody, we're back in the studio again today and with Sheila Bose and David Stecker. And David, I don't think we've met too many times, so I'm excited to get to meet a nice young person that's getting started here in Atchison. And tell me, because this is kind of a passion for you, we're talking today about St. John's Church. And can you give me a little bit of history on it? Because it's a pretty neat history, David.
Oh, no problem. It's a great honor being on your show here today. Let me put this into a little bit of a historical perspective. We all know July 4th, 1801, Lewis and Clark camped near Doniphan. The town of Doniphan was organized in November of 1854. From a Catholic perspective, Bishop Miege offered the first Mass in Doniphan on April 1st, 1856.
Now, was that the first Mass ever offered in our area?
I just know of Doniphan.
Okay.
Yeah. And
well, we'll go with that. Let's go with it's the first one.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And then our listeners are great at correcting me if I need correction. So Bishop Miege, who was a famous bishop, there's a high school named after him in Kansas City.
That's right.
And a very well-known Benedictine priest.
Yes. And then regarding Doniphan itself, Father Henry Lemke was a Benedictine priest from the East Coast, whom Bishop Miege sent to Doniphan. In fact, there's record on August 12th, 1856, he wrote a letter to Abbot Boniface Wimmer stating his plans to build a church and priory in Doniphan. And of course, with the change of times in 1859, the monks left their priory in Doniphan and actually settled in present-day Atchison.
Now, why was that? Was that during the Civil War? Is that what prompted them to move?
There was a number of issues there. You know, supposedly the river
Oh, the river changed course, didn't it?
They say that's one of the theories on that.
Mm-hmm.
But that, like I say, they just, like I say, the church apparently they felt like it was a better location in Atchison. But with that said, I think it is noteworthy that the St. John's was the first parish that the Benedictines started in Kansas.
Exactly. Well, Doniphan was, and Sheila, we go back because Sheila was a Haggerty. And those Haggertys and McCoys got together a lot back in the 1800s. I know that for a fact because I've got all these records.
Well, we don't go back quite that far, Louise.
Yes, it wasn't us, Sheila. It was our ancestors, not...
Right.
I'm pretty sure you weren't around in 1859. Maybe that 1863, but not the 1859. But that my great grandfather was the first postmaster in Doniphan, and so
really,
and so this church means a lot to me because as I was telling David yesterday, the Langans have a window in the church.
That is right.
That they donated, and that's our family, the Langans. And,
I did not know that.
Yep, the Langans, the McCoys, and all those mad Irishmen that used to hang out with the Haggertys were all in that area. So the church has had a fantastic history. I think it was destroyed by fire back at one point. Was that correct, David?
Yeah, October of 1863.
Mm-hmm.
The original church and priory was destroyed by fire, and they didn't make an attempt to rebuild anything until after the Civil War. So the first church, or the present-day church, was built in 1867.
And it's in dire need of some help, isn't it?
Yes.
And the church hasn't had Mass for a number of years. It's basically been abandoned, for the most part. Is that?
Well, it was designated a stational church, or they use the word oratory now, which basically means a private chapel. So families have had gatherings and occasional Mass or something, of course, with the permission of the church authorities here in Atchison. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty much set empty.
I'm amazed because I was very blessed because two of my best friends on Father's Day, I've always wanted to go to that church because I knew we had a window over there. And Bob Staley and Charlie Wagner called me on Father's Day and said, "We're taking you to church." And we went to St. John's, and my son and I got to go through the entire church, see what it was like. Except for the fact that it's got a huge hole in the roof that is really causing some damage, the structure is relatively sound. So it's totally something that we could save, couldn't we, David?
Yes.
And I'd like to interject when you said Charlie Wagner. Charlie Wagner was one of the individuals that, I mean, we're looking at probably about 5 years ago that really was instrumental in really assessing the damage and working towards where we're at right now.
And Charlie is such a great guy. And,
yes.
And he was adamant when we were over there that we do something to keep this church, because it's a historically significant structure to our community and to the Benedictines. And so I think it's great that you guys are working together to try to do something to preserve this.
Well, and I think the point needs to be made too. We Abbot James Albers has been very instrumental in letting us pursue this, as has Father Gabriel Landis. He's the parish priest for St. Benedict's and Sacred Heart, and all the Atchison parishes right here. So, like I say, we feel blessed that we've had the go ahead from them to pursue this.
That is great, because that's what you have to have, because it still belongs to
Absolutely.
the monks.
Yeah.
It belongs to the church, and their support is something that you have to have in order to move forward on it.
And Kathy Vanderloo, the parish accountant, has been very supportive as well with the incoming donations and so forth.
So you are getting some monies coming in to try to help with the preservation, because the roof is priority number one. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, that's phase one of our, we're calling it a capital campaign, but what we're looking at is with labor and materials, it'll be about $14,000. And as of last Friday, we had a little over 10,000 collected, and we really haven't done anything formal yet. It's just been by word of mouth. So
now, if people are wanting to help out, and I know there's a lot of folks out there that are familiar with St. John's and the Doniphan area, and it sits up on a hill. It's gorgeous up there. What would they need to do to get in touch with you guys?
Well, if they have any questions, they can certainly call me. I know they could call David, but I'm a little more accessible right now. And my cell phone number is 913-426-4035. The other thing that they can do is
you've got a website that you guys started.
Exactly. And I'll give you that here. It's www.stjohnsorory.org. So it's St. John, or St. John's with an S on there, stjohnsoratory.org.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you for that before.
Sure.
My listeners always know that we do it twice, so that if they need to get a pen and they want to get in touch with you guys for support.
Absolutely.
Now you could use not just monetary support, but if folks can volunteer to help you with it by painting, cleaning up, doing anything like that, is that something that you all want as well?
Yes. In fact, our next meeting is scheduled for May 3rd. We're going to have we call our group the Friends of St. John's Oratory. We're actually meeting at the Doniphan Church at 1 p.m. on May 3rd. And that's located basically at the intersection of 95th and Mineral Point Road.
And and give me the address again, because if people haven't been over into the Doniphan area,
right,
it's not the easiest thing to find,
Sure.
is it?
Right. And so the address is basically at the intersection of 95th and Mineral Point Road.
Okay. So they're taking River Road across over into Old Doniphan, and then I think when they get to that point, are they turning left?
Yes.
Is that
that's
right?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. I remember it from Charlie and Bob taking me over there and walking. Charlie gave me a great history of the church.
I'm sure.
You know Charlie. He knows everything about the history of our community. So, and I understand, are you having Mass over there at one point? Are you?
Yes, on the evening of June 24th, that's the feast day of St. John the Baptist, the namesake of the church. And so the Abbey is going to provide a priest, and then we're going to have a potluck dinner afterwards. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, Sheila, are they, do they get a hold of you if they want to participate in any of these events?
They from the standpoint of our next meeting that's out at Donovan on the May 3rd date that David talked about, they don't have to contact he or I. They can just come out there. We certainly will take anybody that wants to come and listen in or volunteer or whatever on that. From the standpoint of the June 24th date, when we're going to do the little the little potluck, whatever, potluck, right? I wish people would call on that. That really is for anybody, certainly anybody that's donated. We want them to come and eat with us, and also certainly the folks from the community there that have been parishioners of St. John. So yeah, I for a head count, just so we don't come up short on whatever we're serving. Yeah, sure. I'd appreciate a call at that cell phone number that I gave to, and again, that's 913-426-4035 if you're planning on attending that June Mass and dinner.
And this history has this church, excuse me, has so much history. I'm even looking at the notes that David was kind enough to give me, and it appeared in Life magazine in 1955.
Yes.
What was that about?
Gordon Parks was a photographer.
Very famous photographer.
And he was invited to follow the monks at the abbeys. So there's an insert in that magazine with different photographs of different scenes of the priest and brothers in that Life magazine. And one of the pictures is actually at the church St. John's in Donovan. It's actually my great-grandfather speaking with one of the pastors there, Father Placidus.
Oh, wow. Isn't that cool?
It is.
Now, this has, you've got something here about Jacob and Adam Brenner. Tell me about those two, because that was also, they were also pretty instrumental in doing things as far as St. John's was concerned, right?
Yeah, Jacob and Adam Brenner, they were brothers. They were born in Bavaria, the heart of Germany's wine country. Adam was born in 1824, and his brother Jacob was born in 1816. They came to Donovan in the 1860s. They started their own wineries in Donovan, and they remained there their whole lives doing that. Adam Brenner actually donated the 2 acres to the church so that they could build so that they could build St. John's.
Now, is this real close? The winery area, is it real close to? Because they had a winery,
yes,
right, in Donovan.
Yes,
I think Donovan was one of the largest wine producing areas in the United States at one point in time.
Yes, yes. The church building and the wineries are within walking distance.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there anything left of that?
Oh, yeah. The foundations and even some of the structures are
still there. Yeah. Wow, that is neat. Well, tell me again. I want to know telephone numbers and web addresses, because this is something that we all need to get behind and get St. John's. We need to get that roof put on, because the structure is going to be destroyed if that roof isn't put on quickly.
Right.
All right, Sheila, what is the number? One more time.
The number, my cell phone number is 913-426-4035, and that website is www.saint as in STJOHNS St. John's Oratory ORATORY.org.
And May 3rd, you're going to have a meeting at St. John's, Donovan, 1:00 p.m. You guys show up. Let's see if we can't get behind these too, because they're working very hard, and I know you've got some of the priest and the abbot working with you, and all of that sounds fantastic to me. And Charlie Wagner, if you're out there, they're working for you. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, and thanks to all who have given already. We certainly appreciate it.
That's great. Thanks so much for coming in, you two.
Thank you, Louise.
And remember, call me for everything real estate. 367-3116.